Good morning.
Good morning.
It's December 10th, 2023, and we're happy that you've all joined us. Anybody joining us, please mute yourself because we're recording. We look forward to talking to you afterwards when we chat with those who choose to stay on. Our topic today is home for the holidays. And this is our longest holiday season of the year, and we tend to celebrate it right from Thanksgiving on, which is wonderful. But it can be a long time to celebrate. And we do think about home because we have so many memories of holidays with our family of origins, our family perhaps of decades ago. And but that's not the home I'm talking about. It can get so busy with visiting family and getting gifts ready and decorating and shopping and all of that, parties, that we kind of lose our center. We can get frazzled with just so much going on. Even good stuff, even the parties and the get-togethers. It's just so much for this season. In the older days, in the olden days, people we're trying to make the best of the coldest, darkest season of the year. So, of course, the holidays are full of lights to lighten things up and brighten things up, but also to bring some fun into the cold, dreary darkness. But the home I'm talking about is our spiritual home, to stay centered in our home self instead of letting ourselves get pulled this way, that way, every way with so many things to do. Or go ahead and do all those many things, but remember to spend some time every day going within, touching base with home, where all is calm, all is quiet, like that Holy Night song. It's always calm, it's always quiet. And we need some of that every day. We need to go back to that. I hope you have a favorite time of day you do it. If not, I'd suggest claiming one certain time every day. If you get into a routine, it's easier. I find that even as long as I've meditated now, which is probably over 45 years, I still, if I go a few days without it, and then I start to sit and meditate again, it feels hard to get into it. So I just do my breathing exercises, which are, just breathing regularly to a certain count, in so many seconds, hold it so many seconds, exhale so many seconds. I say so many because it depends on what you're comfortable with. And if I just keep doing that 10, 20, 30 times before I know it, I am home. I'm in that place where all is calm, all is quiet, all is well.
I think to try to maintain that, a few things we can do is to slow down and savor as much as we can whatever we're doing, whatever the task is we're focused on. Because what happens in the season is we tend to multitask in our head, even if we're not multitasking in reality. So on our way to the post office, we're thinking about going to Costco. On our way to Costco, we're thinking about what we're going to buy if we have to go to Publix. And so if we're not careful, and what I'm suggesting is that on the way to the post office, be thinking about going to the post office and how nice it is to have a place to mail your letters and focus on the activity of spirit in what you're doing rather than the activity with another activity with another activity. And I think that helps us have our life be more mindful, but also it's closer to a kind of meditation. And I think a lot of times, I know when I go to Costco and I'm not picking on Costco, but on the way to Costco, I'm wondering, will there be a place to park? Will there be 11,000 people? Will most of them never have been in a Costco before, so that they're going to block the aisles, just sort of marveling at everything that they see? And I start getting frustrated and worked up before I even hit the parking lot. And then when I get to the parking lot, yes, that's what I thought. And so without meaning to, I think we can anticipate frustration and anticipate not getting everything done and anticipate the things that we want not being quite right. And without meaning to, we're really kind of pre-thinking in a negative way what we really want to savor, which is the moment, and that we have that moment, and that we can do what we want to do in that moment. And I think it's hard for us to do because we are typically wanting to be problem solvers. And this is a season in which there are more problems as well as more victories. But we have to be careful that we don't become inundated in the problem, or the problems. And the other part of that is that the problems that we worry ourselves with, how much parking space will there be? I've never died from the lack of parking space. I've never gotten sick when I went home because I couldn't find what I wanted at Costco. And so we need to be less fatalistic with our thinking, and we don't realize that we're doing that. So if you're coming home from something that you've done that you should like, or you think you should like, and you're exhausted, then I think you ought to go back in your mind and say, how was I in that moment? How did I participate in that moment? And that then prepares us for coming home to, or being at home with spirit.
Exactly. But I believe there is nothing that can, we do a lot of things to expand our spiritual awareness. And that's our awareness of God and the presence of God and good in our lives, and awareness of our oneness with that. And so those are lovely words, but to really experience that,
Mhm.
you have to go home. You have to learn to meditate and practice that daily. Or at least that's what all the spiritual teachers of the world teach us.
Well, and if you have found a better way that works, that's
Right.
wonderful. I think you need to find a way that works for you. One of the things that often helps is to have music that centers you in a place, in a space that you want to have your mind occupy. And so if you're going to be on the road and you have a choice of the music that you would like to listen to, choose that music, but choose it thoughtfully. And what I'm suggesting is giving more thought to each activity, rather than, this is just something I've got to get through. What's next? And that quiets us. It lowers blood pressure. It increases the immune system's functionality.
Mhm.
It does a lot of things that help you not feel exhausted, or after a while simply not wanting to go out or do the things that you think ought to bring you joy, but somehow don't.
Exactly. So, most of the spiritual teachers of the world do recommend that meditation. I'm calling it today going home, because that's what it feels like. It feels like a place with no worries. It feels like a place with no shoulds, that to-do list. Just feels, I don't know, for me, it kind of feels like the safety of being in a baby being in a mother's arms. It's just all is well there. And we know that's what's really the spiritual truth of us, regardless of all the dramas we manage to cook up and experience here on the earth experience. The truth is that we are eternal beings having an eternal experience in a place where all is well. All is truly well. As a matter of fact, in some of my reading this week, I read that we are known as, that the spirit knows us as eternal beings where all is well. And that's nice to think about, because we tend to think about one series of problems after another that we're dealing with. So to be thought of as eternal beings where all is well is comforting. It's nice to know.
I was sitting at the doctor's office the other day, and my appointment was for 3:45, and it was 4:10, and I hadn't seen the doctor yet. And I began to heat up in frustration, and thinking, I don't want to be here. This shouldn't happen. And then I thought, well, where would you like to be? I don't want to be sitting in this chair. I want to be sitting in my chair at home. Doing what? I don't know, but if I'm sitting here, this is a waste of time. But if I'm sitting at home, it's not a waste of time. And so, so
No, then I'm doing what I want to
yeah,
do.
which is sitting in a chair. And I thought, what a ridiculous thing. So I folded my arms and closed my eyes, and I pretended for a minute that I was holding a puppy, and I could feel the puppy climbing up my shoulder and nuzzling my neck. And I was smiling when the nurse came out and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Just a second, let me put the puppy down." And she didn't see the puppy, but she didn't want to say anything. So it went really well. But we have to find ways to be at peace with ourselves. But it was so funny to think, I can't stand having to be here. I'd rather be there, but I'll be doing the same thing there that I'm doing here.
Well, in this season, I like to talk about this thing called the Christ consciousness. And that's a term, Jesus was never called Jesus Christ when he was alive. He was called Jesus of Nazareth. And later, when we decided that he was the Son of God, the only Son of God, we anointed him the Christ, because Christ means the anointed ones, the anointed one. But what it means to us today is that, and I'm going to do some reading, that this actually comes from Michael Beckwith, but this is the way I understand it too. He says, when our highest potential as spiritual beings, having a human incarnation, is actualized, it is called the Christ. Jesus was such an exemplar of this state of consciousness. It's a consciousness that he emanated love for all beings, regardless of rank or station in life. He experienced joy beyond circumstances, and he had a pure sense of oneness and unity with all beings and all life. So, and he's not the only one who has who attained this state of consciousness. The story of Siddhartha, who became the Buddha, is one who also attained this state.
But he's really talking about something that human beings in flashes of moments, or sometimes in longer amounts of time, experience those things.
We experience little bits of it,
which is really telling that Jesus was a great example, not the great exception. And I think one of the reasons that people often have trouble with the idea of Jesus as anybody to have in their life is because it seems like such an exaggeration of possibility and such a minimization of us. And what he was really teaching was this: I'm an example. You can do this too. You too can be in the world in a way that allows you to fully taste it and fully savor it and fully love it and fully enjoy it and pass on all of that to other people.
Yeah, he left us a roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. As did a number of other master teachers.
Yes.
And I think we really need to, when we have a doubt about the masters that have passed away, about their having been masters, we really need to be taking a look at the lack of belief in our own mastery. And that we too, often in isolated moments and in impassioned moments, experience that. And if we can experience it even a little bit, we can eventually, if we want to and choose to, experience it more.
We can. So it's nice to know that is a roadmap for us, that we too, and that's what we work toward when we work on our spiritual growth, our spiritual awareness. You can't grow spiritually. You're already spirit. You're already a spirit. You're already an eternal being. But what can grow is your awareness of it.
Yes.
That's what we attempt to grow, our awareness of ourselves as spiritual, eternal beings. And for me, it just goes hand in hand that if I'm an eternal spiritual being, I must also be a loving, peaceful spiritual being that loves all, so that eliminates our human characteristics of hate and harm of others.
I've begun my nighttime prayers. When I go to bed at night, I lay in bed for about 15, 20 minutes, or sometimes until I fall asleep in prayer. And I've begun to my prayer a little differently than I was a while back. And my prayer is reminiscent of Ram Dass, and Ram Dass saying, we're all here just walking each other home. And I imagine that I'm walking with Jesus, and I'm walking with Buddha, and I'm walking with the masters, and we're walking home. They're not above me. They're not beyond me. They're not wanting to be superior to me, and nor am I to any of them. We are simply walking each other home. And there is a kind of love and kindness in that just really fills me up and allows me to have a conversation, not a pleading, not a bargaining, not a wishing or hoping, but a conversation with all of those that are walking me home and walking with me home.
So it's a way and an exercise to eliminate a lot of stress in your life.
Mhm.
And, we have lots of other ways of doing that. Our affirmations that we use are wonderful to bring us back to the truth. In other words, if we're fretting about the traffic in Costco or any of those things, there are affirmations that you can use to know that there's always a place for you. I'm trying to remember, Sandra does one about parking places. She has these little poems that she uses to remind her, but I think it's Hail Mary, full of grace. uh, I know I find the perfect parking space, or something like that. But that's great. Those are affirmations that you can remind yourself of the truth
Yeah.
when you're in your, oh, I'm fretting about this, I'm worried about that.
Did Mary have a car?
She didn't even have a parking space, but
Hail, hail. Right.
we do know that those things work. We teach our beginning students that they can use affirmations to manifest things that they want, and it works so much better than, oh, there's not going to be any place for me to park. I'm going to have to walk a long distance, And I generally always find close parking spaces. So, and I expect to,
Mhm.
but if I didn't expect to, I'd use an affirmation. So an affirmation is a positive statement in the present tense, affirming what it is you wish would happen, but
Right.
you affirm it as it is happening, as if it is
Now,
happening.
what you want to do with that is be very careful when you state that then you don't say afterwards, I sure hope it happens. Which I have seen people do the most wonderful affirmations and then within a second or two undo them. And so what I would suggest also with an affirmation is state the affirmation with all the passion and all of the heart and all of the emotion and all of the aliveness that you can muster. And then if you don't believe it, ask yourself, isn't it true? And why don't I believe it? And what do I need to pay attention to so that I can have this affirmation truly affirm what it is that I know? So for me, affirmations are one of two things. Affirmations are a statement of truth, or affirmations are a statement that helps me realize that I don't believe that, or I don't necessarily
Mhm.
accept that. And then I know what my work is. I know what I need to
Then
do.
you know what you need
Yeah.
to do.
But I think what I hear often when people do affirmations is they do the affirmation and then there's the doubting Thomas afterwards that says, yeah, I don't know whether this is going to work or not. If you don't know whether it's going to work or not, that's an affirmation. And without meaning to, you're affirming a negative outcome. And
Yes,
so
you
why this is also important is because I think we tend to believe that we don't really need to be mindful except when we're wanting to be spiritual. And we need to be mindful all of the time. That is, we need to mind our thoughts. And we need to
you
mine
do.
our thoughts and mine our thoughts for the thoughts that work, that are the ones that are the most effective in creating the life we want to live. And, I was watching the other day, because I love animals, I was watching a cat stalking an animal that he wanted very much to have for lunch. There were no accidental steps. He didn't say, I'll just be casual until I get close. He was mindful the entire time. He didn't end up with the squirrel that he wanted, but the bottom line was that he put every bit of energy into every step. And I thought the precision and the care that was given. What if I did that? And everything that I want, I gave it that kind of attention, and I don't even realize it. I was translating, or not translating, but working on a book with one of our members, and I was busy typing in the words. And I think my mind was also not typing in the words. It was typing in the words, but it was also looking at what's the next page going to look like and what am I going to do here. And then I finished the typing and I froze it and I thought, this is good. I got this. And then I went back and looked at it and it was missing the first letter. I said, how could that possibly happen? Well, because my mind, even though it was mostly on what I was doing, was also still on other things. And we don't realize often how unmindful we are, and we really mind when it doesn't work. So I think mindfulness is an exercise that the more you practice it, the sharper the focus, the more joy you find in the experience, because the deeper you move into it. So I went back and I read it again and I changed it, and I thought, and I was going to be frustrated that I had to change it, that I had to do this all over again. And I thought, no, this is part of the discipline. This is part of learning how to attend to what you're attending to. And I just think it's amazing. And some of it I blame on my age. I blame it on everything you can think of. But the truth is, there's no time when being mindful isn't useful.
You know, what we teach in order to manifest is affirmative prayer, or what we call a spiritual mind treatment. And we don't do a lot of teaching of that in our Sunday lessons. We do it with classes. And I'm so happy to say now that our practitioners, once a month, our practitioners are our prayer partners who've had at least 4 years of study. And they are now once a month doing a prayer summit where there is a topic. And this month, the topic is going to be Jesus as the great example, not the great exception. And it's being led by our practitioners, Pamela Gray, and I believe Agnes Hill. And so, and they do teach when they teach the steps of treatment. When we do this prayer summit, it's on Mondays at 8 p.m. and it's
Not every Monday.
the third Monday of the month. So we send out, I'll send out an invitation to that because it's coming up here in 10 days or so. And I just wanted to remind you that the affirmation is one of the steps in that affirmative prayer. But so the affirmation that you might use throughout the day to remind yourself of the truth when you're off base is a very powerful step. And it changes your thinking, and your thinking changes your feeling. And that is the oomph that creates your experience, the two together, the thoughts and the feelings. So, that's a good way to get home for the holidays is to use a quick affirmation.
And for those of you who follow this teaching that we are a part of, then you can also imagine that it's Holmes for the holiday.
Oh, Holmes, yes.
And that you might pick up Ernest Holmes material and read some of it and kind of take it in and prepare yourself. Because I think there's no way that we can over prepare for mindfulness, for the kind of mind we want to have and live with and live in. And so, it's sort of like decorating your house. You look around your living room and say, is this the way I want it to look? If your mind looks like the living room that has been unkept, then it's time for you to keep it. It's time for you to walk around and say, what are the thoughts I'm having in this living room that get in the way of the beauty and the joy that I'd like to experience in it? And then clean house.
And we have to clean the house of our mind too. Sometimes we realize what we're thinking and believing.
Yeah, we found out we were really blessed and not so blessed. We were blessed to have brand new, beautiful hurricane proof, so we think, windows installed. And that was the joy. And then the negative part of it is there's so much more light now coming in that we see all the dust. And I don't know where it came from.
I like that now. Now I can see the dust.
I don't think it was there before the windows. I think I think that the light may draw the dust.
I think they put a lot of the dust in when they did the windows.
That's it.
They really did, because
there's no way this house could have been dirty.
They do all the grinding to get the windows in.
That's also true. Well, I think we've just about used up our time, and we're gonna go to the shared screen because we would also like for all of you to know how, if you want to support our ministry, you're welcome to do that. And so this will just take a second.
We know that many of you do that on a regular weekly or monthly basis, and we so appreciate your commitment that way. It really does help. But we'll use this affirmation, and it's on our website, which is up here. No, the website is here, cslpalmbeaches.org. And when you get there, this is the first page. And if you click on this ways to donate, you will see ways that you can make a donation. So let's say this affirmation that we use.
And let's say the affirmation with heart, with emotion, and with knowing that it's true. My investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
As you give, you do receive. And the giving has to be first.
What happened? I've lost.
You end screen.
I've lost everything. Whoa.
Goodness, really? We lost our people.
Yeah,
Have we stopped recording yet?
no. Wow,
Well, let's end the recording. Can you end the
Okay.
recording?
uh, stop share, okay. Whoa. We haven't had that happen before. Okay, we're gonna end the recording. And where is that? Here we are.